What's up, Internet? Welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2. We're in the middle of a very dangerous contract in which we are setting a trap for the S&ARP Hunter. We've already lost Eugene in the process, and we are very close to being at critical mass. Bliss made it through, though, and we're going to just see what this last day holds on this contract. Here it comes. And I can't really do anything. So, here it comes. End cycle. Please don't take any damage. Okay. Hey, the good rolls. Wake up, sleeper. Seraphin's in the bunks. We got incoming. You shake off the haze of forgotten dreams and get up. In moments, you're in the cockpit. Xander, Cadence, and Seraphin all gathered around the console. On it, the local view shows nothing, not a single ship signal, and few objects beyond a scattering of debris. It was right here, I swear it. Seraphin jabs at the screen. A ship. Small, but definitely a ship. Seraphin, Cadence sighs. We've all been up a while. Get some rest. I know what I saw. He catches her eye. You look at the screen, its gridded view showing the scattered signature of debris like schools of fish drifting in a soft current. The manufactory is a noisy blob at the center of the circle, one that dissolves into the background at its edges. Nothing. And then there it is. A flicker, a flash, a spark of movement and light among one of the debris clouds. It flares and then it's gone again. You look up and Seraphin meets your eye. He reads your expression immediately. Seraphin slams a hand down on the console, looking up and opening up the comms channel. Look alive, Flint. They're coming in. Go deep and be ready to run. He pulls his hand off the switch. We better hope they heard that. And then you see it through the cockpit glass. The flare of an engine, faint and masked, but driving a squat, dark ship out of the debris. The Hunter. The ship seems to idle a little near the manufactory's asteroid, drifting past the dressed-up shell of the old facility. Time to see if our fake colony is convincing enough. Cadence nervously clasps her hands together. Will they buy it? They better. Seraphin looks concerned, because if they think that place looks abandoned, the Hunter might just strafe the whole facility. Seraphin swallows hard. We need them to dock, to come inside. You look out at the ship, and as you do, it jumps forward, towards the docking tower. You watch for a few tense moments as it hesitates, and then slides into position on one of the docking bridges. Cadence sighs in relief. They went for it. Seraphin pats you on the shoulder. Good job. The rat is in the maze. We can track them now. He exhales. At least that's the theory. I hooked up some basic monitoring devices in the assembly line. Xander calls over from another console. A few shitty cameras repurposed from the factory monitoring systems. Not much, but hopefully enough to tell where they're at. Cadence, Seraphin, and you crowd around the screen. Xander flicks between noisy black and white images and feeds of static. You squint into the fizzing dark, trying to pick out any detail. And then suddenly, you see them. A shadow, drifting beneath a flickering light. Dark-clad in military gear, a long gun held ready at their shoulder, deathly pale skin, and in their eyes, gleaming through the faceplate, glowing irises. Who the hell is that? Seraphin pulls back from the screen. They look like a sleeper. Xander finishes Seraphin's sentence. That's cool, that they only have sleepers hunt sleepers. The figure disappears outside the margins of the frame, and Xander flicks through the feeds. Where did they go? You drift back from the screen, trying to think straight. The Hunter is a sleeper, or something else. You replay the image of the figure in your mind, but it already has shifted in your memory. It is your face staring back. It is Flint's. It's the sleeper's mask of death. Sleeper. Seraphin grabs you by both shoulders and looks you in the eye. We need to focus. We should get down there. Xander's eyes are wide. This changes things. Oh, no. This changes nothing. Seraphin nods. We wait for Flint's signal. We hold here. The ordnance is in place. Seraphin looks at you for reassurance. The moment we get the signal, we blow it. You think of the mining charges rigged in daisy chains, the fuel barrels lashed to detonators, the command code ready to transmit from the rig. Seraphin sees the determination in your eyes. We hold. So you wait. Cadence's eyes on the manufactory below. Xander tapping at the glass. Seraphin perched by the console listening for the signal. Then you hear it. The hiss of an open comms channel. You look to Seraphin and he hears it too. A static haze that fills the cockpit. You all go still. Seraphin nods towards an indicator on the console. It's Flint's channel. A click, a scrape, then silence. Seraphin frowns, tapping at the controls. What? He scrolls. Flint's transceiver is gone. It's dead. Panic hits the cockpit. Xander gliding over to the console. Cadence going pale. Sleeper. Seraphin turns and looks back over his shoulder towards you. We need to go in. Go. Cadence looks between you, Seraphin, and Xander with a steely expression. I'll stay here. She glances nervously at the console. Give me the signal and I'll send the detonation signal. She swallows hard. If it works. Seraphim looks torn for a moment and then nods. Let's go. You rush down to the airlock and suit up with the others, and then you're out, descending through the rock-strewn void in tense silence. You enter the manufactory through a gap in the frame, passing through layers of twisted facility into the deep parts where you know Flint waits in the dark. You say nothing to each other, afraid the comms may be intercepted. You lead Xander and Seraphim on, seeking the deep bays under the silos, where you began setting up the ordnance. Though unfinished, perhaps there's enough down here for this to work. If not, Seraphim's hands falls on your shoulder, pulling you back. You go to speak and then you see it, a torch beam lancing through the dark. The hunter, as you saw them on the grainy footage of Xander's cameras, but real now, just below, a long gun held ready at their shoulder, pushing through the dark and broken layers of the facility, seeking Flint. Seraphim, Xander, and you exchange wide-eyed glances in silence. The hunter passes below, disappearing into a dark passage. You wait together, the moment stretching out, then descend down into that same passage. The silence is absolute. Suddenly, there's a flash of light ahead, bright and forceful, and a rumble that shakes rust flakes from the walls. Xander pushes off hard, launching past you into the dark. Seraphim goes too, and you instinctively glide forward as another rumble shakes the foundation of the facility. You come into a low bay scattered with glowing embers. Scorched holes in the walls spew drops of hot red metal where a weapon has been discharged. The hunter floats at the center, taking aim again, and you see a flicker of movement on the far side. Flint retreating. Before you can act, a single figure in a suit slams into the back of the hunter, Xander. As he hits, the hunter's gun spins out of their hand. Oh, shit. Let's grab the gun. You kick off away from Xander and the hunter as they grapple together, spinning in the dark towards a deep shaft at the far side of the bay. You spot the shape of the long gun as it spins ahead of you. As you reach it, your hand locking around the sculpted grip, you spin and raise it. The first shot goes wide, burning a scorching hole in the bay wall. The second shot grazes the side of the hunter's suit in a flurry of sparks. They are thrown away from Xander, unable to find anything to slow their glide. The hunter disappears into the dark of the shaft, leaving a trail of embers in the dark. You see fear in Xander's eyes as they turn back to you. The muzzle of the gun smokes, glowing red. It is spent. I've got Flint. Seraphim calls over local comms. We ascend, now. You look across to the two of them, kicking off from the floor of the bay towards a ragged hole in the ceiling. You and Xander exchange a single glance, then follow. Cadence? Seraphim's on the wide band. Detonate this place now. Send the command. There's silence. You ascend through it, through the layers of the manufactory, seeking the open void of space beyond. You clear the manufactory, gliding into open space. A silent shockwave, like a gust of wind, runs through the void. The silent rumble spits out a scatter of debris. You turn back, still gliding towards the ship, and you see the shattered manufactory. Whole sections are bending outward, the framework shredded, plating tumbling away in the shards. You look across at Seraphim and Flint, their eyes set on the ship. Trying only to stay ahead of the debris, you do the same, fixing your attention on the rig and nothing else. The hunter is dead. Whoa. That's it. Done did it. Okay. Holy Christ. Oh, no, 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 no. I keep doing that, where I keep ending the cycle rather than leaving. Okay. Because that could have been detrimental to our dice. Contract concluded. You can now travel back to the hub. Yep. And we actually have to reduce even more stress once we get home. Yeah. You limp back to Oliveira. The mood in the rig is one of deep exhaustion. But as the colony appears, visible from the cockpit, the satisfaction of having run a terrifying gauntlet and come back in one piece shifts the mood. The crew's improved mood only becomes more obvious as you draw closer to Oliveira. As you come into dock with the colony, you feel a wave of relief. Seraphim pats you on the shoulder as you both wait for the airlock to open. That hunter, he sighs. SNARP is crueler than I could have imagined. Doesn't surprise me. It's a nasty logic. Send a sleeper to catch a sleeper. Seraphim shakes his head. I'm glad we bought Flint some freedom. The airlock hisses open, revealing the docking bridge where Xander first confronted you. This time, another, more substantial figure waits in the passage. Oh, hello. I hear you're the ones I should be thanking for saving my life. Carmen leans against the side of the tunnel. one arm clamped around his waist. So, thank you. He nods at the two of you. Good to see you're up. Just about, although I'm told I shouldn't be. He smiles shyly. Carmen! Cadence rushes past the two of you, gliding into Carmen with an embrace strong enough to leave the injured man off balance. All right, careful. You don't want to put me back in the medbay now, do you? Carmen pushes Cadence back with a gentle grip on her shoulders. He flinches as he does, his joke clearly holding some truth. Sorry, Cadence smiles. Just glad to see you up. A frown crosses Carmen's face. Where's Xander? You losing your vision, old man? You look back to see Xander and Flint behind you in the tunnel. Xander smiles widely at Carmen, betraying his happiness to see him. I'll be just fine, Xan. Carmen's words aren't confident, but his tone suggests he isn't convinced. You notice his hands are tightly balled into fists, as if resisting pain, and wonder if he should really be up at all. Carmen looks to you and Seraphim. I think we need to talk. How about you two and Flint accompany me to the medbay? Carmen winks. Flint pushes past you both and goes to Carmen, helping him out of the tunnel. As he does, they exchange a few words, but you're too far away to make them out. You and Seraphim exchange glances and follow behind them into Oliveira. Carmen leads you to a small recovery chamber in the medbay, where his bed is set up. A handful of tubes and wires float gently beside it, attached to boxy devices. Flint has already left the group, leaving just you and Seraphim with Oliveira's injured founder. Carmen meets your eyes with a hard look. So, how did you two end up stumbling onto our colony out in the shoals? He raises an eyebrow, because we're not usually open to visitors. Ankita sent us to you. You see the flicker of recognition in Carmen's eyes when you mention Ankita. You produce the thumbnail drive, holding it out for Carmen to inspect. She told Sleeper to deliver this to you, and you alone. Seraphim folds his arms. Carmen pauses thoughtfully. That's a name I have not heard for a while. He takes the drive. It seems I should thank you again. He sighs, and perhaps I owe you an explanation myself. Ankita and I used to work together a lifetime ago. Carmen shakes his head. We went our separate ways, but then she turned back up in Oliveira. I established this colony as a refuge, a way of starting again. Carmen clasps his hands together. The belt is changing, and I am afraid of what's coming. Ankita took refuge here for a short while, and then one cycle, she was gone. Carmen shrugs. That's not unusual for her. Each of us has our own demons. He holds up the drive. I'll take a look at what's on here when I'm able. He looks at you with the drive. He looks at the drive with concern, and I'll let you know what I find. You and Seraphim thank him and leave the chamber as he settles back on his recovery bed. As you leave, Flint catches your attention. Can we speak? Seraphim pauses. I'll catch you back on the rig. He looks between the two of you and then glides away. Flint hovers, a look of concern on his mask-like face. What do you need? Flint gives you a curious look. You don't remember any of it, do you? Any of what? Of how you got here, of your history. Flint screws up their face in a pained expression. At first I thought you were hiding something, or you were intentionally avoiding the subject, so I waited, but I understand it now. You don't remember me at all. You take a moment to think, to try to recall Flint. You furrow your brow in frustration, sifting through hazy memories of Darkside and further back of your arrival to the belt. You close your eyes and see the faces of other sleepers panicked, desperate, in darkness. I don't remember. We worked together, and the same Essenart mining installation, along with the other sleepers. He searches your eyes for a spark of recognition. We weren't close. I'm not sure we really spoke. Very few of us did. But I was there when we planned the escape together, to run to the freighter, collapsing the mineshaft. Flint stops, struggling to continue in the face of the blank look you are giving them. You feel an unpleasant itch, as if something is crawling around inside your skull. You could see that Flint wants you to recall them, to recall the escape, the installation, but you find only hazy sensations, and beneath them, pain. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Flint looks down. I know you can't help it. I just needed to say something, to know if you really don't remember. Thank you for everything you've done for me, and for Oliveira. Flint turns and drifts away dejectedly, unable to continue. As you watch Flint go, you scratch at the side of your head, trying to find something in the way they move, the way they speak, their mask-like face, a face that was identical to yours when it was first cast, but that over cycle of wear and damage has been transformed. Two machines so close in form and function, estranged by experience. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. That we knew Flint? That's cool. I mean, statistically, how many sleepers could have escaped, right? But that's kind of an interesting idea. All right, first of all, right off the bat, let's do some fixing. Improvised dice repair. Cool. Okay, they're back in business. We love that. Now let's use some of our other... So we're waiting for him to recover, which is great because we could also get some wreck stuff. We could also get some food and fuel and supplies. We're in a good spot. Fuel I don't need as desperately as I do supplies. So let's just try to get that done. So +1 supplies. That's good. Let's try to get another one. Nice, and energy. And then let's use our remaining 1 just to heal. Let's see if we could heal some stress. Recovery failed. Okay. Well, at least we tried. So, I think that that's a good place for this. Now, let's do one more day. End cycle. Lots of glitches, but that's okay. So let's go back to the rig. Let's try to use one of the glitches to rest. Nice. Okay, stress is down. We'll take that. How about more... Let's just use... It's a crapshoot anyway. We might as well use it on these scrap parts. Nice. Okay, we'll take that. Okay, we lost some energy, but that is okay. How about supplies? I'm gonna want this for sure. Cool. And then fuel. I could take this up to a 3. Why not? All right, we lost some energy, but that's okay. Okay, and this one should take us out here. Okay, right. We still have some glitches because we have to work it off of the repaired dice. Thanks for coming up, Sleeper. Carmen is waiting for you and Seraphin when you arrive at the med bay, looking a lot fresher. He leads you into a small alcove set up like an office, with an aging terminal on a simple welded desk and a small window looking out across the dusty rock of Oliveira. Got some news for us? Seraphin asks impatiently. Since you arrived back from the manufactory, he's been restless, though you aren't sure why. Not to worry, Carmen grins slyly. I think you'll want to hear this. He hits a key on the terminal and a file browser appears on the screen, showing hundreds of individual pieces of data. Ankita has been busy. Carmen gestures to the screen. She's been scraping Utsubo communications cycle after cycle, got access to ciphers and encryption that only the gang's leadership should be able to see. He smiles. It seems she's learned some tricks since we worked together, but that's not what matters. What matters is the content of these messages. He taps a few keys and loads some of the data, which scrolls down the screen. Some parts of Utsubo leadership have been getting ideas about taking Greenbelt and controlling food production in the belt, about exerting power over Wellspring, big ideas for a gang. But these Utsubo members aren't alone. They've found themselves a powerful ally. Carmen shakes his head. Senate-Stat. Senate-Stat, one of 2 corporations fighting a bitter battle for control of the inner system. A pernicious force, one that Utsubo are opening a door for in the belt. You can't be serious, Seraphin cuts in. They can't be that stupid. I don't know what to tell you. At least someone inside Utsubo is trying to broker a partnership. Who? Seraphin leans over to look at the screen. You don't need Carmen's answer, and neither does Seraphin. Lane. Seraphin looks at you, shaking his head. It has to be Lane. Carmen looks between you both. Seems like you already know something I don't. Lane is a piece of shit Utsubo leader who thinks he owns us. Seraphin shakes his head. Exactly the kind of piece of shit arrogant enough to try to manipulate Senate-Stat. Carmen nods thoughtfully. My condolences. I'm starting to see how you cross paths with Ankita. We have a shared enemy then. Carmen pauses, his face unmoving. I'm not sure you want this fight, Sleeper. Like I said, Ankita and I worked together. To put it simply, we ran in the same mercenary outfit. Carmen looks away. A lot has happened since then, but this message, this data, it's her calling in a favor. And I owe her, that's for sure. Carmen shakes his head and pushes himself off from the desk, crossing the room to look out of the window at Oliveira's pale and airless surface. Hell, after what went down, I owe you both too. You look at Carmen staring out at the surface of this hostile rock and wonder what he sees out there. He established the colony as a fallback, a retreat. Not just for him, for others too. But you get the feeling that Carmen knows any retreat is only ever temporary. He turns back to look at you, and Sleeper, what will you do? We'll take on Utsubo. Take on a gang? Carmen smiles. Are you sure about that? We're gonna end Lane, whatever it takes. Seraphim stares down Carmen, fists balled. Carmen looks at you. That one is gonna get you in trouble. He turns to Seraphim, but I like that energy. He looks back out the window. This is not something we're gonna take head on. He shakes his head. Ankita sent us our weapon. Carmen turns and gestures at the console screen with its reams of incriminating data. Utsubo don't control all of Darkseid. They only aspire to. They also claim to offer protection from the war between Senate Stat and Conway. That presents us with an opportunity. Utsubo is full of members who'd rather die than concede Darkseid to a corporate interest. We play this right, Utsubo will end Lane for us. He smiles at Seraphim, to use your phrase. How do we do it? We can handle it. We've cracked Darkseid once, we could do it again. Seraphim's confidence is infectious. Is that right? Carmen seems to be thinking something through. He crosses to the console, back to the window, and then to the console once more. Alright, I'm gonna need some time, but I can put this together. Carmen nods at Seraphim. We'll need that energy, but you also need to be ready. We rush this, it's not ending well. So I can wait. Carmen turns his attention to you. We'll go from Greenbelt when you're ready. I have friends there who could help get that ship of yours into Darkseid. Seraphim looks at you. We have our own preparations to make, but we'll be ready. All right. Carmen unplugs Ankita's drive and hands it to you. Take this and get out of here. I don't want anyone finding this thing in my possession. You take it. The tiny drive somehow heavier now that you know it contains the key to exposing Lane. See you in Greenbelt. I'll see you in the Wheats sheaf. Carmen smiles to himself. They know me there. Just understand something. Carmen's expression turns serious. You want my help on this? There's no way we could let it get back to the colony. Once you leave here, you're not coming back to Oliveira. Not until we're done. He meets your eye. He needs confirmation that you recognize the importance of this. I understand. Carmen nods. Then you can go. He returns to the window to stare at whatever he sees out there amongst the dusty rocks. When you come back to the rig, Flint is waiting for you, leaning by the docking tunnel with a bag over their shoulder. They look up as you approach. Hey. Flint nods a greeting, appearing a little unsure. Going somewhere? Hope so. They smile. I know you've already done a lot for me, so I'm not going to push you or ask for your pity. They pause. You feel like they've been preparing this speech. Firstly, I owe you, and I want to pay you back. I can work and I can fight, and I will protect this ship and this crew with everything I have. Secondly, we come from the same place, and whether you remember it or not, that means something. It must. I know I'm not the easiest to get on with. I know you might have your reservations about having another sleeper on the ship, but that's enough. Flint stops immediately. Sorry. You look at Flint, their frame's so much more damaged than yours, but with the fire burning in their eyes that makes them seem bigger than they are. Welcome aboard. A smile spreads across Flint's face, and they look down to hide it. Thank you, they say to the floor. This'll work out. You'll see. Flint nods to you once more, then turns and glides down the docking tunnel towards the ship. As they do, two figures at the edge of the docking concourse catch your eye. You pause to look, shifting a little, and as you do, you recognize Cadence leaning in. Some words are exchanged, ones that you can only guess at, and then the other figure embraces Cadence and turns back to the ship. As Seraphim approaches, he ducks his head, passing quietly past you into the docking tunnel without a word. You take one last look at the docks, but Cadence is gone. You idle a moment longer and feel that there's some presence, even in these empty bays, something rare in all the belt that Oliveira has captured. But as with all things, you must learn to leave it behind. Aha! Yes, recruit Flint to your crew. Our ship is full. Hell yeah. Okay. What I'd love to do before I leave, though, is honestly just try to get more ship parts, because those are really helpful. And we have a good set of rolls here, so... If I could get up to 6, I feel confident. Oh, I see. It's raw scrap. Okay, now let's eat. Okay, I could deal with that. Alright, I have up to 5. I feel pretty good about that. And now I actually have... I have the ability to upgrade... Reroll random dice, but it's +1 roll. So here's the thing. I actually think now would be helpful to have push and use push. So no dice damage on push reroll. That sounds like a great idea. And now -2 stress if reroll 6. Reroll random dice, but +1 rolled. -2 if stress if reroll 6. Reroll random dice, but +1 rolled. That's probably the better option. And then when I have another point, I'm going to get reroll dice cannot be a 1. Because that's awesome. Ideally, the reroll does not have a 1. Okay. How are we doing on this episode? I actually can't tell. Oh, that's an episode. That's for sure. Okay, so in that sense, I think we head... Technically, yeah, we have to head back. We have to, like, go back around. There's a lot of places that I want to go before we head to Greenbelt, which is, like, gonna be the last place we go, I think. Maybe we do our intercontinental tour here first. I don't really feel like we need to go back to the Hollow. Find Junie's bunker on... What, does it say it here? Right, that's Holmes Rock. Get the array from Holmes Rock. Get back to Dark Side. Carmen's message. And then the sketch. So yeah, we just got to get back to Holmes Rock, which means that we're making our rounds around to Scatter Yards and then back up towards our normal stuff. So I think in the next episode we'll head out and start just popping around the rest of the star system. But until then, I think we're going to call it here. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see future episodes. And we'll see you on the next one.